Oh, we're live. We're live.
It looks like we're live.
Nice.
Do you think it's true? It looks like we're live. Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna.
I'm Jocelyn.
And we are back to you on Monday morning with our show. Let's see. Let me get the format set here. Good to see you all. I hope you had a great weekend. We are having a heat wave in New England, and we have a sort of dangerous heat warning today. So I have the little ones with me here because we are air conditioned in this workspace. Not so air conditioned at home, just very hot. So I got the little ones here today. Did you want to start off the episode showing off? Let's first say hi to everybody who's here. Say hey, Kaz in Wisconsin. Good to see you. Hello, Robin. Good to see you. Penny, good to see you. Happy coffee time. Chrissy, good morning. Happy coffee time. Lisa, good morning. It's hot and humid there too in Pennsylvania. Yeah, it's just brutally hot. Brutally hot.
Like 100.
We're getting there. We're getting there. We're in the 90s. Kirsten, good morning. Oh, Alinda, good morning. Good to see you again. And Martha, good to see you. That reminds me, I'll give a bunch of news. I'll give you. Can you wait for 1 second?
Yeah.
Um,
How hot do you think it is in Texas right now?
well, that's a good question. Is anybody on in Texas? Is it very hot in Texas too? Texas is often much hotter than us, but it could be that at this moment we are getting the heat and they are getting, for example, a breeze. You never know. You never know, but there might be somebody on in Texas to tell us. I'm sitting by the pool and it feels like a fresh autumn day. You never know. But in any case, we had such a good time yesterday. Linda was on. We did our the first Van Gogh class. We're doing it again, running it again on Wednesday. If you're signed up for the Wednesday class, it was such a fun class. It was the monthly Designing Like class. Good morning, April. And it went real well. It was a lot of fun. It's such a great opportunity to talk about a specific artist. Good morning, Christine. Home today and glad. Yeah, Western New York, 92. It is horrible. Only good thing is the wash is going to dry in a couple minutes. So true. Cindy, good morning. Breaking heat records in Canada. Is that true? That is remarkable. We got that warning too, Martha. We got the dangerous heat warning. You know, they give it out for very young people, much older people to really be careful, stay hydrated, stay in a temperate sort of environment. You do what you can, right? I got to get you off my arm though, because this is my bad arm. Here, you sit on my lap for a minute. But we had such a good time. These Designing Like classes are such a good opportunity to talk about a specific artist, specific style of work. And you know, it really snowballed. Hello, Joy. Joy was on yesterday too. It really snowballs in terms of ideas. People always say things that make me think, you know, that's a really good point. Good for you. Everybody has different spins, different takes on the same material. And that's what makes it so exciting to brainstorm in these Zoom classes. But it really was a great class. A lot of ideas came out of it. And there's a big to be continued, big project opportunity. Barbara had a really good idea in the class, and I just wrote to her after the class because it was something I thought we should pursue. So more on that later. But it went really well, and the second chance to catch the Van Gogh Designing Like Van Gogh class will be on Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that should be here in the text of this video. Also, I put out just now the Elizabethan set of wool. Can you grab one of those bags over there, sweetie? I showed it the other day, and if you can grab the picture of Shakespeare on the other side of it. The other day I showed the new set of swatches, the Elizabethan set, that are a little bit modeled, look like they all come, one of these bags, look like they all come from sort of natural plants. Here, give me that, and then grab the picture. Do you know what Shakespeare looks like?
No.
Okay, it's a picture of a man with a weird costume on that chair over there. We're not there yet. She's 7. She is going to well know Shakespeare, I'll tell you that. But it's a nice set. It's actually 31 because I was forgetting to count like the bare white color. So it's actually a set of 31 swatches. I put 14 by 4, but they're always much more than 14 by 4. So this set, let me grab this thing. Sorry. Yeah, there should be a picture of a man on the floor. I'm sure it fell when the fan went on. This kind of color thing here, just very different. I'll show you more fully tomorrow. The link to that is under here too. She's struggling to find Shakespeare, so we'll just let that go. I'll show you next time. But for I usually do a mystery pattern, but I wanted to show it to you this time. It's real specific. Tavern sign of like the Shakespeare head. typical Elizabethan, go around the other way, I'm going to flip my flipper. I'm getting real close to flipping my flipper. Summertime, right? Homeschool, summertime, it's all the same. Anyway, that's the pattern on fiber tape that goes with this set this month. So it's a large set, lots of fun. Relda, good to see you. It's out there now. I had a busy weekend because whose birthday was it this weekend?
Jessica and Buttons.
Well, that's true. My sister Jessica's birthday this weekend, so I was away at my mom's celebrating with Jessica. And also Buttons the dog had a birthday this weekend. So we spent some time at Petco. We got him some very expensive meat, dried, disgusting meat. And I don't think he liked any of it, did he?
No, he buried one of his meats.
Exactly. Did he eat it or did he bury it?
He buried it for later.
What does it mean? He didn't eat either pieces, and then we got like expensive toys for him, and yeah, he didn't seem that into it, but maybe for him that was his way of being festive. Who knows? And I was out all day yesterday. I want to show you what I found at the flea market. It was my sister's actual birthday yesterday, and we went out again to the Elephant's Trunk, which is a huge flea market here in Connecticut, and I found a ton of hooked rugs. I feel like such a jerk saying that because I know so many of you hunt for rugs and you're not turning any up. I turned a lot up yesterday. I'm going to show you a couple of the ones I found. There's quite a few. Also, FYI, a couple of things. This coming Friday, I'm shooting to have the live auction on Facebook. That's my goal for this week. Oh, that's okay, Relda. It's such a busy time of year right now. But this coming Friday, I think it would be good at cocktail time to run the live auction. We've never done anything like this before. I have tons of patterns. I have tons of partly finished rugs. I have tons of materials, all kinds of things, vintage, that I would like to auction. And we'll start everything like really low. I thought that would be fun. We'll do something different. If it works, we'll do it more often. I'd love to be able to put stuff in that you would like to auction, stuff of your own, stuff that you're not using, stuff that you would like to make. I'll figure all that out in the future because I think it'd be a great opportunity and a good platform for us to be able to have kind of an exciting, very focused rug making themed auction. And I don't know if people do that, but let's give it a shot. So that'll be Friday. Now, she is a sweetie. Friday, I ran bingo night, which was super fun. I think we had 5 winners, and I have to say, starting next month, I'm going to tweak bingo night. I'm never going to ditch bingo night, but I'm finding it so hard to get through because it always runs a good 2 hours and it's just long. And what I was thinking was, I just feel like for myself, it's not all about me, but I feel like it's just a long night to get through and I don't look forward to it as much as I used to. And I was thinking, it's because it's so long, and when I make that many calls, I really am required and compelled to give the maker, give this, give that, and a few times during the evening I give a little bit of supporting information that I think is interesting, but it's mostly just like reading off names, makers, and telling you people's websites. It gets old fast for me and probably for you too. So I'm thinking, let's evolve bingo night. We're going to do bingo night every month. But next month, I'm thinking, why do I play with a full-size bingo card when we play blackout anyway? So, for example, the bingo card is 25 spaces, and I make 60 calls so that only one card wins. In theory and mathematically, I know it's not going to quite work this way, but if I only did 16 places on the card instead of 25, then there would only be 38 calls in theory. I know it doesn't exactly work like that, but close enough. So I think starting next month, I'm going to do a bingo card that's 16 calls, but otherwise bingo completely the same. Fun as always, but a little bit shorter, which I think is going to be great for you, just a little bit more concise, a little bit more character in the night, not just reading off names and rugs and years and, all of the stuff that I really must read to not have people emailing me angry. So I think that's going to work out even better. Now, what did you want to show? She wants to show before she blasts off into, she's working on some patterns this morning. She's working on some of her abstracts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it moves so fast, Relda, but I think with 16 calls, it'll be more like 35, 38, but I think with a card of 16, it'll be a lot more fun. We might even take a break in the middle to do like a raffle or something like that, make it more of a casino night where there's like more than one game happening, but a bit more concise, and I just want to crystallize the thing more, put it in a crucible, burn it down, and just take the best parts out of our bingo night. Go ahead, show us what you want to show us. Abstract designer of hooked rugs. There's 2 of them.
This was the abstract that I showed you how to make in my how to make an abstract video.
Yep, we put a video up last week, how to draw an abstract for beginners.
And Mom hooked it.
And Mom hooked it, yep. And what else did I use in there to hook it?
She used animal balloons. There's little thins back here, like the
little dit dots, the little circle ties on balloons.
And on the back, it looks pretty good. There's some green ones right there, and some yellow ones.
Yep.
So yeah, this was the one.
That was your first design.
And
what is it that you like the most about designing hooked rugs, particularly abstracts?
I don't know.
Because you do a lot of abstracts.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just an instinctive thing. Maybe it comes from another life. Who knows?
There's another abstract I made.
Okay. Yep. Show us.
It's not finished yet. She has a corner to do.
Thanks for pointing out. I'm not quite finished yet. I do have the corner to do, and I'm going to probably change the other corners. But I think I showed these briefly, but these are your other abstracts. And since the artist is here, the designer's here with us, she wanted to show you the 2 abstracts that she's done most recently. And I will put those up for sale too as kits, right? We're going to put those up as kits.
Yeah.
And you're working on some more abstract designs. Very small, very easy to do. I wonder if we could turn these, Joss, into stair risers.
Oh.
Right? Like if we talk about stair risers all the time. I wonder if I could make them longer, or make 2 of them side by side, or just do hit or miss on the sides. Ooh, I wonder if we should turn them into stair risers. She's dancing. So that's probably at least a maybe. There you go. I'm going to start commentary, you silly. Do you want to say bye to your people, your fans?
Bye.
She's such a good girl. She's going to finish making more abstracts. I think that's great. Oh, thanks, Martha. She's doing so well. Whew, been busy. So, flea market this weekend was really great. It was, it was like in the 90s. It was super oven door hot. Like the oven door was open. I was just standing in front of it all day getting blasted. Thanks, Lisa. Yes, thank you, Linda. Thumbs up. There was a lot of rugs on the ground. Sometimes I feel in these flea market situations, some of these dealers are so nice. They're so stellar. They're so you feel integrity. You feel a connection. Other times you feel like you better buy the rugs that they're selling, because they're going to fold them up into the size of a handkerchief and squeeze them into some dirty hole in the back of a truck, to never to be seen again. So there were a couple of rugs that I bought that needed significant restoration, and I'll show you those another time. They're beautiful rugs, and I just could not process and get to peace. I walked away, came back like 2 or 3 times before I bought them. The woman at the stall, she was just a very difficult person, and I could see the way she was handling them, and it just, pulling them up by one corner when there's a gaping hole in the middle. And I'm thinking, these are not commercial designs, these are really old rugs, and the reason they're in bad shape is because of people like you. So in any case, I didn't buy every rug that I saw. I bought most of them, and they were all such good prices. But I want to show you a couple that I think were really, thanks, Kaz, that I think were really especially interesting. So let me be careful here. I don't want to do a flea market special. This is the smaller one, and this is actually, I'm going to be careful with this nonetheless. Is that upside? Yeah, that's upside down. This is a Virginia Snow. Now, you remember, this is fairly small. It's a clipper ship. It does have some color issue here, and I'm okay with that. It just reminds me of like an illustration from a boy's book from the 1910s, like real illustrative quality to it. A galleon, flying through the sea with this wild sunset behind. I just thought it was special. I thought it had something special. It's kind of an odd size. It's a medium size. This is the back of it. So it hasn't had a ton of color loss over the years. Let me bring you a little bit closer. It's just a beautiful rug. It looks like it's hooked in maybe a 5 or a 6. The main reason I bought it is because I just felt the colors were really unusual. There's lots of pinks. There's lots of purples. And rarely do you see that. I'm not getting good colors. Let me show you on the back. Rarely do you see that in a rug. This many purples in a rug of this age. So the info that I was able to find out, and to be honest, it looks like, now I'm looking at the back of it, you know what? It looks more like silk and satin than it does, I'm going to bring you even closer, than it does wool. You see what I mean? It's very, very, very shiny material. Very shiny. It doesn't look like a knit. It's been on probably the floor of the house, but it's been on the floor of the grass for quite some time too, which is a bit upsetting. Yeah, there's definitely satin in here. Haven't even really had time to look yet because I ran the class as soon as I got home from the flea market. I know, Christine. I wish you could turn up some more fun stuff. I was so excited when I saw this one, and I thought, you know, what is this going to be? It's again, it's a very odd size. It's quite small. Then I flipped it over, and it said, I'm going to show you two. I know it said snow. See, it's folded out. You can't quite see the name of the pattern here. It says imported Hessian canvas, but over here, better clue. Beautifully well hooked, right, Relda? I mean, it's really, so you see here, something snow, Elgin, Illinois, or Elgin, Illinois, and then the size, 20 by, was that 22, 27? It's not huge. But when I saw snow, I assumed that that is Virginia snow. It's hard to tell because it's half hooked over. But yeah, I think it must be Virginia snow. You know, they put out a catalog in the like 1920s, 1930s, lots of supplies, but a lot of hooking supplies and some original patterns, not a ton. But the snow catalogs are nice to look at. They're very deco. They're very Sunbonnet Sue, a lot of flowers and a lot of storybook houses. But you know, in this case, I got a clipper ship or galleon, and I have not seen this pattern. I have not found this pattern online yet, but I was kind of excited to find a snow pattern, and it got me thinking: is it funny that that we have frost and snow? You know, that we have Edward Sands frost, and then we have Virginia snow. I wonder if that was an intentional thing, because I question whether that truly is the name. I'm thinking it was a group of men who are putting patterns together, and just like the Betty Crocker books, they decided on a name that sounded like, you know, someone who came off the Mayflower. But yeah, I thought maybe there's something there, frost, snow, that there would be some kind of association. So I found that one, and then I found this one. I'm going to be super careful with this. Makes me wish that my last name began with a W. This is not a commercial pattern, and for that reason, super careful. It's really big, and I have my bad shoulder still. I'm going to have to show you in parts. So it's got a border. It says Home Sweet Home. And it's got this beautiful, I'm going to back it up, house. And it's got almost cut in half, so careful, this side with the W. I'll take a photo of it and put it in our Facebook group, Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club, to show you the whole thing. I can't back up far enough to get it all on camera. Let me show you the colors on the back. It does have a couple prominent holes. Just to give you an idea, this one was 80, and it's on burlap, and it is fragile, and it needs some repair. But there's a few things going on in here that I thought were exquisite. One of them is, if you can see the back there, they've used a lot of tweed, so they're using what look like scraps. The colors on the back are way brighter, the yellow house, than the front. And it is what it is. It was real bright when it started. I think this is actually a little bit too bright for me, so I'm okay with the way that it's faded. This was $80, and again, it's not a commercial pattern. It's somebody hooked their house. They used clothing from the closet. There's all kinds of like autumny tweeds in here too. And they hooked on the other side. They probably decided when they drew the house that it wasn't very big, and they wanted something a little bit bigger, and they added that a second half to the composition, kind of framed out the same way with the letter W. Now, I mean, that's super creative. That's thinking on your feet. That implies that they were drawing directly onto the canvas. It implies that they wanted to outsize what they had drawn and do something a little bit bigger. Maybe they had more burlap left over, unexpected, and they couldn't think of what to do other than draw the initial. Who knows what the process was with a rug like that, but it's certainly an original pattern. And I think any beautiful folk art piece like that that says Home Sweet Home with a picture of someone's house, if only I could find that house, needle in a haystack, and it might have been knocked down years ago, what a find that would be. You know, I feel like any rug like that needs to be removed from the ground of the grass and the dirt and put somewhere safe and restored. So I was very happy to find both of those and some other ones that I'll show you later in the week. But it was a good find, and you just never know what you're going to find at a flea market. For $80, this is an enormous rug. If I were to look for that rug on eBay, if, for example, they were selling it on eBay rather than on the ground, I would be looking at something more like, I would think, $300 to $400 for that rug. It doesn't have a huge amount of damage. It needs to be stabilized, but it is an original pattern, and it's very charming. The letter W is real specific, so that is a real deterrent for people that don't have a W name. But nonetheless, in terms of collecting and being in love with old rugs, there was no way I was going to pass on something like that. So, yeah, it was interesting. It was a good find. I'll take some close-up pictures of those two and post them. So, speaking of interesting things and good finds, we were doing this Charlotte Stratton book last week, Rug Cooking Made Easy, and I was wanting to, this week, transition to the store that she, remember at the end of the commentary on Wednesday, she changed her store name to be the Yankee Peddler because she got permission, she got copyright for all of the Edward Sands Frost stencils. And when that happened, that became the sort of jewel in the crown, the centerpiece of her business. And she changed the name of her business to reflect that she owned the Frost patterns. So at that point, she moved from Vermont to Greenfield, Massachusetts, opens a store. We mentioned last week how, I hope I can open a museum, Relda. Wouldn't that be amazing? I have so many old rugs, and most of them need restoration, and I just couldn't let them rot the way that they were. Some of them really need restoration. And you know what I was thinking along those lines? Looking at these digests and these old books and just thinking about that culture earlier in the 20th century of women, mostly women, hanging out evenings with the other women on their street who hooked and made rugs. That whole lost culture of socializing that way, working together, one or more evenings a week, getting together in a store like the Yankee Peddler, open 6 days a week for people to come in, take classes and hook, just be together. That whole sort of lost moment in time, of course, went proportionately with the popularity of rug hooking. But it's one of my great passions and hopes in life to bring as much of that back as I can. And I thought, would it be a thing for us, being a really big group now? We're well over 5,000 people now in the Facebook group. Would it be a thing for us to come up with a theme? And for example, just an example, this isn't a suggestion, tavern signs. I'm thinking about Shakespeare, tavern signs. And we all hook a tavern sign of our imagination or from our town or something that's an old pub that's been knocked down, and we all hooked them. And what if I found a place, a historic house or some museum where we could display all of our rugs together? And if you aren't here where I am in New England, you ship it to me, and I'll be careful with your rug. I would never lose it or take a chance. What if we were able to organize something like that? Would that be something? Would any of you be interested in doing something like that? Because I feel like there's a lot of places I can approach, and there's a lot of places that I'm in touch with, and there's a lot of places that are in touch with me, that are always looking for exhibits that are interesting, that relate to history, that relate to crafts. And I feel like we could really put something together at this point, not in a library, but in a place where people would look at it with art eyes and go, isn't that something? Like, that is something. Not just, isn't that something? That is something. So I've been thinking about that, ruminating over that one, and I thought, let me get your ideas on that, because I would love to start shaping something like that up and making our work more visible, not just hooking commercial patterns, but coming up with some of our own patterns. Certainly, if you wanted to do this and you don't feel confident about designing, I would certainly work with you, no charge, one-on-one, just until we get a pattern that you like to participate in this kind of a thing. I think it would be fun, confidence building, inspiring, and I think it would be fantastic for our craft, for other people to become more aware of it. Libraries always are, Karen. The issue that I have with libraries around here, because I used to do like a regular circuit of libraries and library talks, because I have a huge collection of mid-century girls' mystery books, well, early 20th century, mid-century, and there was always a huge wait. Like, it was always like, would you like me to come in for free and bring, my thousands of dollars worth of books and set up a huge elaborate display on my own time and give a talk, to support the library that I get nothing out of, which I'm very happy to do. And it would always be like the response, at least around here, is kind of like, well, we'll see if we can fit you in. And it's like, it's not an ego thing. It's like, really? Really? So I just kind of anticipate, because I had so much of that. I must have done 10 or 15 library talks in one year, but it was always such a struggle to get people to calendar something. And, it was always like, oh, she doesn't work here anymore. And there was always stuff with personalities and, oh, you'll have to talk to her directly, kind of a thing. So I thought possibly libraries, definitely possibly libraries, but small house museums and things too that could bring visitors into small house museums that really need patrons coming in and giving them $5 for admission or whatever to keep them going, because the paint is chipping away on the exteriors and plumbing needs to be replaced, and there's so many houses that are struggling right now. I thought it could be a really good match for us, particularly these old houses that have hooked rugs in them already. Could be a nice combo. But just a thought, if you know of a place, anybody, where we could do this and you think you could arrange it, let's do it. I'm on board. It doesn't have to be near me, and I don't have to be the queen bee at all. If you know of a place, I will work the whole things out and get the rugs there. I promise. So that could be something. I know, Relda. I know. I feel like that too, but it's so. I have to get a space, and we'll get that going eventually. That's a few years down the road. But in the meantime, I'd love to be able to put things up in places that are like appropriate and appropriate, like in terms of like atmosphere and coziness. I think we could do it. So think about that too. If you feel like there's a place near you that might want a rug hooking exhibit, if you're anywhere near me and you have a place that needs like a talk about hooked rugs for free, just to get people butts in seats, people interested, people curious, possibly new people hooking. If I can get there in my car and it's not, at the ends of the earth, Columbus style, I love to do that stuff, and I'm always happy to do that stuff. I'm always happy to volunteer time talking about rug hooking and doing presentations, anything that brings new people to the craft. If you know a place that we can arrange that and then follow it with a hook-in for fun, let's do it. I would be on board with that, truly. So when the Yankee Peddler store got going in Greenfield, it became very, very popular. Now, Charlotte Stratton is like getting on in years at this point. She has secured this great sort of holy grail scale quest for the Edward Frost stencils, and she owns them. She will at this point donate them to what becomes the Henry Ford Museum, and she will sort of retire from the store, and it is taken over by Ruth Davis, who's another big name, another great name in rug hooking. And Ruth Davis is going to publish a magazine, a periodical called The Hooking Digest and Braiding Magazine, from the Yankee Peddler store. And this is going to be a whole sort of decade of publications that are super relevant and interesting to what we do and what we look for. Hey, Barbara, no problem. Virtual exhibit. Yeah, virtual exhibit, definitely. I'd like to combine an in-person exhibit with a virtual exhibit because I know the border is still closed, and I'm dying to get up there, Martha. I saw all the photos of Niagara Falls being colored orange on certain days. I'm dying to go to Canada, and I'd love to do stuff there too, but in the meantime, virtually also. But I think also in person. Some people are just not on the computer, and I want to interest people who don't know anything about rug hooking and think that it's about putting a rug on the floor. I want to get those people to rethink it and possibly think about it as a hobby, something that they might want to get involved in. So both virtual and in person. Now, again, I think I said if you have any of these digests, I would love to buy them from you or photocopy them and have you pay, me pay to have you send the copies or whatever. I want the information out of them because they're so special and they're so involved. There's so much information in here that you and I will enjoy immensely. Over the years, we'll look at different parts at different times. And, they're books that are put together with staples. And for example, this pattern is Thanksgiving, and they're showing you what the scrolls look like. There's a poem that goes with it about Thanksgiving. I mean, how cute and sweet is that? And you can make the Thanksgiving rug in this episode. There's an article about scrolls by Miss Ella Goodrick Goodrich and Greenfield, Mass. All kinds of articles that are typed up on a typewriter, mimeographed probably, and stapled into these digests. There are also sort of plugs and advertisements in this periodical. And for example, this one here, and what this one says, it's an advertisement for this book that we were looking at last week, for Charlotte Stratton's book. And what it says is Rug Hooking Made Easy by Charlotte Stratton, 8 full color photographs, 122 show how line drawings, 25, so it's not, maybe it needs to be proofed a little bit better, but who cares? 25 black and white photographs. It tells you everything that's in it, original dyeing formulas, original designs, oriental designs, all kinds of stuff. And the whole page is about, the book is only $5 when it comes out, and you would pay Ruth Davis at her home address in Trumbull, Connecticut. And of course, she's a person who's running the Yankee Peddler Shop at this point. And what's really cute and funny about this page, I think, on this order form, when you cut the bottom off and send it to Ruth, there's this little box here with the option, do you want it signed by Charlotte? Do you want it autographed by Charlotte? Like, isn't that so cute? It doesn't say there's any extra charge to have it signed. She'll just sign it for you before Ruth ships it. But it's a very sweet publication, and different articles from different teachers, different people all over the country, designs that they're working on. Not a lot of original designs, because the designs are going to be either the Yankee Peddler designs by Charlotte Stratton, or Ruth Davis's own designs, or the Frost designs. Don't do too much with Sharpies because they're permanent. And they always want to tell you to the 16th of a tablespoon, your little measures, what colors to use, mulberry, plum. They're real specific, and they show you great photos like this that you just can't beat stuff like this. This is Mrs. Larini Loy, and she is hooking away on some beautiful pieces. You see this not very staged at all, right? All these draped rugs behind her. Take a look at this one here, right? Like the compote, because that one turns up later in this issue right here. And Larini tells you herself exactly what color she used. Of course, these are all black and white, but when you're used to black and white and you're used to Cushing dye, you say, okay, plum, mulberry, I can perfectly envision those shades just reading them. And then you've got a recipe to work with, just like you would in the kitchen. You'd be able to do Larini's compote, silver compote it's called, exactly the way that she had done it. And you would trust that the way that she had done it would be masterful, which it would have. So, I mean, these are just so interesting. I want to look at this again, and I ordered a bunch more. I ordered all the ones that I could find, like, on the entire internet, which was not that many. But there's an article about hooked rugs that look like paintings, and I want to talk about that too. I want to return to this tomorrow. It's a very, very sweet publication, and there's quite a few things about it that I want to point out from a sort of academic standing, point out things that are worth remarking that tie into all of our other coffee times. There are some very cute and friendly aspects to this too. For example, at the end, there's always a page of letters, questions and answers it's called, just typed up just like this, questions and answers. People asking specific things about specific patterns, colors, whatever, where things are happening, because of course this is the age of there constantly being exhibits all over the place of hooked rugs, and everybody wants to talk about that and get those dates nailed down. One woman writes and says, I have looked everywhere for a Currier and Ives print so that I can copy the colors for my rug. Where can I get one? So many have written me asking this question this fall. So she answers by, and this is so cute, she answers by saying, well, check your stash of Christmas cards. Check all the Christmas cards you keep. Nobody would say this at this day and age, right? Because you would say, first of all, you might not celebrate Christmas. And I guess what's cute about it is there is a huge assumption that at this point in the 1950s, if you have gotten any Christmas card, it's probably a Currier and Ives image. So the answer is, go through your stash of Christmas cards, and you should find a Currier and Ives that relates to your picture. Very cute. And then somebody else asks in a letter, again, this would never happen today, what do the Davises look like? That's the whole letter, because it's Ruth Davis, right? And they're assuming Mrs. Ruth Davis is married. That's a fair assumption. And the whole question is, what do the Davises look like? Like, this writer doesn't have a question that relates to colors of rugs or dye formulas. They want to know what she looks like, which is so funny and sweet. And the answer is from Ruth, well, you asked for it. Sometime in this volume, we will try to have a picture. Just remember, we are not what you would call photogenic. So I don't have the follow-up issue, but it sounds like in a future issue, she's going to include a picture of she and her husband, which is just so funny. There's a lot of sweetness and quirkiness in these digests. It might be, my other ones are scheduled to arrive today, but there's quite a few things I want to show you in this one, including ads with interesting, innovative things that I've never heard of before. So I want to share that with you tomorrow. Kirsten, that is, I'm embroiled in that right now, so I'm not going to answer that question at this moment, but I'll send you an email later because I'm kind of embroiled in that right now. Well, that's a to be continued. All right, so anyway, so we're right there on time. We're right at the edge of the time, and I want to get back to some of the projects I'm doing too and getting the orders out. So tomorrow we're going to pick up with Ruth Davis and her publication, The Yankee Peddler, when she took the shop over, and all of the interesting things and information and advice that come out of these publications. And I also want to look at the Frost Patterns hooked rug, right? So this is like the old New England hooked rug craft presents the full catalog of Frost patterns. At least the ones, you know, that Charlotte Stratton had. Remember, Charlotte Stratton herself said they are not all successful patterns in terms of composition, but she sells them all. So we're going to look at that tomorrow too. Some of them are truly not successful. We'll look at those included just because it's interesting. But we're going to look at these two things tomorrow and talk more about the Yankee Peddler and their place in history, which is a huge, huge, well-earned, well-carved out spot. These publications. Again, if you know anything about them, please let me know because I'm searching for all of them for the sake of completeness. I will see you tomorrow. I might show you a couple more of the rugs that I got this weekend at the flea market, and we will continue on where we're going with the Yankee Peddler and the Frost Patterns. I will see you then. Have a great night. Remember, I love them too, Christine. They are so full of charm and interest, and it's, you know, a new magazine I would never read, right? If I was looking at, maybe I'd read Early American Life. I subscribe to that one, Country Living, sometimes Yankee. I read an article. Mostly I don't read it from cover to cover. These kinds of things I do read from cover to cover. And I guess it's because I'm in love with rug hooking, but it's also, they're so informational. There's nothing extra. You know, they don't sandwich interesting things in between boring things and lots of advertisements. It's all so interesting. It's such a different time, you know, and you really get a feel for that when you flip through. So we'll continue to look at those together and get as much out of it as we can. I'm going to share the best parts with you as always. Have a great day until then. Remember, Van Gogh class is on Wednesday. You can sign up for that. There's still some spaces in there. It was a super class. You should end up with lots of design ideas and just a great night of inspiration and conversation. And also the Elizabethan colors are out. So I'll show you those again tomorrow, but click on that link. You'll see that those are all out too. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great afternoon. What are you little monkeys doing out there?
Look, Mom.
I'm coming. You doing some more abstracts, Joss?
Yeah, I made this giant paper, which is for the expert design, like a super.
Oh, it's an expert for an experienced hooker, right?
It's a super expert.
Super expert, not